Hi and welcome to SCW, the wrestling channel here on YouTube.com. Thank you for choosing the channel and choosing the video. Please subscribe right now. Leave any comments in the comments section. Please like and share the video as well. Ask SCW back once again, taking your questions from the wrestling community. You can get involved yourself. You can leave a comment in this particular video with hashtag AskSCW. I know to answer it in the next episode that I will record. You can follow me on Twitter, SCW Wrestling Channel, or SCW _Steve. Of course, that's the @ in front of that. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook, SCW The Wrestling Channel. So without further ado, thank you for checking out. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Let's get your first question this week. Comes from Dominic Mosley, who asks, do you think that AEW should team up with other promotions, i.e. Impact, ROH, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and have some sort of super show once every few months to showcase talent and maybe go against WrestleMania? Very interesting concept with that question. Of course, AEW already has some sort of partnership with AAA in Mexico. You could argue that this particular moment is not a great time for AEW to be teaming up with other promotions because they're still establishing themselves to many people of what roster is a part of their talent pool, and they're trying to introduce those characters and those people to an audience watching them at home. Someone that's not familiar with everyone, maybe like an Orange Cassidy, a Luchasaurus, some of these guys, Darby Allin, they're not really household names as of yet, so they're getting familiarized on AEW. If you were to bring in other people from other promotions this early, people might get confused as to who is a part of AEW and who isn't. So you don't want to confuse that talent pool with the audience at home, especially to people that perhaps haven't been following AEW from the minute go of when they've done their first shows up to now. Some people have been religious and following every single thing they've done, know the talent inside out, done their research. From a casual standpoint, that hasn't quite happened yet. So for me, I don't think it's a thing to do immediately, but in the long term, yeah, hell yeah, why not put some relationships together? Like I said, AAA is one they've already got in Mexico. New Japan Pro Wrestling, apparently they haven't got any more dates with ROH at this moment, so that door is actually open at the minute should AEW want to step in. And of course, I mean, with the likes of Impact Wrestling and ROH, there are some great talent pools there if those companies would want to do business with AEW. Of course, AEW being on a national network, it would make sense for anybody in the United States to want to partnership with them. And arguably as well, from a talent standpoint, I still feel AEW is still not as strong as it could be. There are a lot of talents out there you could turn around and say they would strengthen that product. So whether they were used as a cross-branded kind of, like you say, 2 promotions win one, or 3 promotions to make a show, challenge WWE, the way to challenge them is to have the best talent that's currently out there. If all of them were under one roster, I think they'd have maybe a shot of definitely bringing more viewers over. I mean, they're doing a great job at the moment beating NXT on a weekly basis when it comes to ratings. I think they'd still fail against Raw and SmackDown, although I'm pretty sure a lot of people who are annoyed with the WWE banner would say, well, I'd check out AEW over Raw and SmackDown. It would be interesting to see how they would compare. I think Raw or SmackDown would drop viewership, but I still think that they would come out on top of this particular stage. But if you were to take talents, I mean, let's look at New Japan. You have got Okada, you've got Naito, Will Ospreay. Let's look at Impact Wrestling, Tessa Blanchard, Sami Callihan, Brian Cage. Ring of Honor, the likes of Jay Lethal, Jeff Cobb, Kelly Klein. You argue me and tell me that those people would not enhance an AEW product right now. I think it would massively. So I think that in time, AEW will probably sign a lot of these guys when they become free agents. But at the same time, in the meantime, yeah, why not use the talent pool, team up together? I think it would make logical sense in time. From an immediate standpoint, though, like I say, they should establish who they've got and what they've got. They will still bring more talents in, which will be naturally under the AEW banner. Mighty Squirrel will be one when his contract becomes available, I believe, in November. I'd expect him by the new year to be on AEW TV. Flip Gordon in time as well, when his contract comes up, would be another definite, I would say, would be a part of AEW. But yeah, as a full-term thing, and maybe every few months, no. As a one-off thing, maybe in 6 months' time, maybe a year's time. Yeah, definitely. Why not? It would definitely benefit any product to challenge WWE by having the strongest roster possible. Next question comes from Carmine Rocco. If you take one top star from WWE and send them to AEW, who would you pick and what rivalry would you put him or her in first? Very interesting question. My answer for that is going to be the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. The reason for that is AJ just doesn't have a bad match in him, and I'd like to see him back with, without the corporate on his back, and have that freedom to do what he wants to do. A match and a rivalry with Kenny Omega for me would be a must-see program. I think at this stage of the game, Kenny Omega will eventually, I think, become the face of AEW. AJ Styles has been, one of the top stars in WWE, and I think they would have an incredible rivalry. That would be my first choice of a rivalry if you take one star from WWE. From a female standpoint, it's hard to say. I mean, there's a couple of ones I could go for. Asuka would be one I'd like to see because I think she'd be booked better in AEW. But at the same time as well, I think Charlotte Flair would be a weird question, but I would happily see her in AEW. I'd like to see that women's division enhanced. I've said many times before, I think that that's somewhere that AEW really needs to focus on strengthening, because I think it's their weakest part of their roster. And I even think perhaps other companies, even Impact Wrestling, I think has a stronger women's division. So yeah, I would like to see maybe one of those two. Charlotte Flair would be an interesting one because she's a pioneer. She can put on some good matches, and I think eventually one day Tessa Blanchard will end up in AEW. So I mean, that would be a natural rivalry there. But taking someone that's currently in AEW, I'm quite a fan of Bea Priestley. So, I mean, Charlotte B. Priestley could be fun to watch. Maybe Charlotte and Riho as well could be fun to watch also. So, there are a couple of ones if you was to make the jump for Charlotte. But as an official answer for me, if I had to pick one person, AJ Styles all the way. Next question comes from the White Man podcast. Who should be the first person to defeat Jericho for that belt in AEW? Well, I have sort of tackled this at a similar time before, but of course then we've had more time with AEW being on TV. We can see the top stars that seem to be booked around the championship are probably Pac, Moxley, Cody, Hangman, and Kenny Omega. Your top faces are Cody, Kenny Omega, and Hangman Page. I think that Cody would be a wrong choice because of the fact that I just think it would look like it's an ego trip if Cody was to win the belt this soon. I think it will happen one day, but today is too soon. I think at Full Gear it's too soon. I think it should be at least a year from now if they were going to ever go down that road. Hangman Page had an opportunity, had the momentum. I feel he's kind of lost that momentum for the minute. I think Kenny Omega, of course, is in a win-loss scenario at the moment, but I think that Kenny Omega is eventually going to get over the stumbling block. He's going to get some victories, and I think he will be the guy eventually to take the belt off Chris Jericho. Next question comes from Austin Whitley. Would you eventually push Luchasaurus as a top star, as I see him breaking out and being a big marketable name? I agree with you. I think he's a lot of market value in Luchasaurus. He's got a look that stands out. He's a tall, big dude. He can do things in the ring as well that perhaps not people his size could do. I think he has got, like you say, a marketable look about him, and he could be a top guy. Of course, he's injured now for at least 3 to 6 months, it seems, according to the dirt sheet. So it's a shame of the timing. And it seems that he's got this little sort of trio going on with the Jungle Express. I think with Marco Stuntz, though, that doesn't help him get to the main event. You've kind of got a comedy element there with him and Jungle Boy. So at the moment, as a face package, the ceiling is the tag team division. For me, he would need to turn heel if he was to become a main event player and turn on those guys and then push himself towards the top of the card. I think he could be like a new Kane from WWE. He has kind of got that feel about him where he could be someone special, larger-than-life kind of character, that proper heel turn. If it was like a Kane from 1997, an unstoppable monster, just this time it's like a Saurus. I think that it could work. And yeah, I think Luchasaurus in time, I mean, we're probably looking well ahead here, maybe a year or two down the line, but yeah, why not? He's, like you say, he's got some markability about him. He's special. He stands out. You look at sort of like WWE, Braun Strowman stands out, but they don't book him perhaps maybe to the full potential they could, because maybe once or twice he could have been a world champion and they haven't booked him like that. Luchasaurus, if they can get the rocket to him, they could send him to the moon. Why not? I think it could work. I've seen a lot of his work in Lucha Underground. They pushed him hard there, and yeah, I mean, they killed the character off eventually, but he was someone at that point who you thought could be a Lucha Underground champion. It would have seemed more than believable at that time. I'm surprised when he was done brief appearances for Ring of Honor and for Impact that he was actually booked more as a jobber. I don't know if they fully believed in the gimmick. AEW has seen something here. They believe in it. If if it can be pushed correctly, yeah, why not? Luchasaurus, could see him as a main event player. Maybe not straight away, but give it a couple of years as a heel as well. Yeah, I see it. It's believable for me. Is it believable for you? Let me know in the comments below here on SCW. Next question comes from Noob and Co. Who will be facing Becky for the Raw Women's title? Asuka or Charlotte Flair? Well, the fight forever that never seems to be going to end, and it's probably a fight forever that we don't want, to be brutally honest, in Charlotte Flair, I think is the end game. Probably we'll see that rivalry again, whether we want to or not. They've had some great matches, but for me, I've seen it too many times. Even Raw last week, it was a good match, but for me at this point, I want to see some fresh matches and fresh rivalries. So for me, in the immediate, and I think it will be the immediate, Asuka, I think, will be the one going for the Women's Championship. She's had a renewed push. She's got a bit of a different look with the face paint, with the mist as well. And it seemed that Becky Lynch also said that she wanted to right a wrong, losing earlier in the year to Asuka at the Royal Rumble. I think that at the first given opportunity at the next pay-per-view, Asuka will beat the challenger. So it'll be interesting to see how it will be played out. But either way, I can see Becky remaining Raw Women's Champion for some time, quite some time to go forward yet. I don't see her dropping the belt anytime soon. Next question comes from Calling It in the Ring. Who do you think could use a title run on the Raw roster? Any title, not just Universal. Well, looking at the Universal Championship very quickly, just before I go to other championships, arguably The Fiend has got 2 championship opportunities coming up, so that should be the guy moving to Raw. But I don't see that happening. I see Seth holding the championship going forward. As for people who should be champion of Raw or could do with a championship run, we mentioned Asuka a minute ago. It would definitely not hurt to have another woman that steps up in the women's division to actually become a champion. My top answer, though, for you is going to be Andrade. I think he would be perfect for the mid-title area, the United States Championship. AJ Styles, a great champion, but Andrade was a top draft pick for Raw going in. On Raw last week, he was a top 5 draft pick in the top 3, the first round of the draft pool. You need to prove it. You need to show that this guy then is that for that reason. I don't think it's time to push him to the main event scene, but as a mid-card element, I think Andrade has a lot to give on Raw, and there's a lot of great feuds you can put him in as well. Ricochet, Aleister Black, there's a lot of top talent there. I mean, you could even see if Randy Orton turned face. That could be a great match. Kevin Owens, there's a lot of talent pool there that could go against Andrade on Raw. As for the Universal Championship, I'll go back to that, as The Fiend will probably not be an option. I think Randy Orton is a strong candidate. I think Kevin Owens as well. Why they've not put the rocket on Kevin Owens? He had such a great momentum behind him when he first went as a face, and I feel that they've kind of almost ruined that momentum a little bit. I'd love to see something happen with Kevin Owens to really push that momentum going forward once again. To push maybe a small idea. He was rumoured not to be happy about being moved to Raw. Maybe turn him back heel. I know it sounds a bit stupid, but maybe his beef can be with the USA Network. I was on SmackDown. I got rid of the problem on SmackDown. Now I've been moved to Raw, and I was picked by the USA when I didn't want to be here. So now the problem's not actually a general manager holding me back. It's someone that's stopping me from where I want to be. The problem is the USA Network. I think it could be an interesting twist as a storyline. I don't know if people would be on board with it, but certainly would be something that's a little bit different. We've seen rivalries against general managers. Why not have a problem with the TV network that you've been assigned to, trying to do what you can to get being moved back to Fox? Even a supplemental draft, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross moved. And Kevin Owens, why not me? I wanted to be on SmackDown. It'd be fun as well if you actually encourage people to see what's going on with what's going on Fox rather than the USA Network. I'm not sure how USA would feel about it, but certainly would be an interesting twist as a storyline. Could be something that could be fun to watch. But I would like to see Kevin Owens pushed to the Universal Championship picture, because the guy for me is money. He's a great promo. And yeah, he had momentum quite a few times in the main roster, and it seems to be taken away from him. I want to see it brought back to him. Next question comes from Mr. 1925, my good friend Mervyn. So much wrestling. Going forward, you can only pick 2 wrestling shows to follow, not promotions. Just shows. Lol. Which 2? Well, Mervyn, you're an evil man making me pick. First off, before I answer the question, I'm actually going to flip the question, because the ratings have been down on every single TV product this week. Raw, SmackDown, NXT, AEW. We should be watching more wrestling. So this is a shout out to anyone watching this video. Watch wrestling. Just watch it, okay? Let's support all these brands that we want to support, and let's see them thrive and do well in this environment. I know perhaps now coming into the question, WWE is not putting out the best product right now, but we all still want to know what's going on with it. So just keep an eye on it. watch the product, and hopefully eventually it will get better. I know though people will probably say, well, the way to make it get better is to see those ratings go down. Time will tell on that. As it answers your question, a lot of people, I suppose, would go with the Wednesday Night Wars. They'd pick NXT, they'd pick AEW. I'm going to be controversial, and I'm expecting some thumbs down. So Mervyn, if there is, I'm blaming you. Yeah, I'm a WWE guy. I have been since a kid. I've been watching, since I was a young child, and I've been WWE through and through. So for me, arguably, Raw and SmackDown would be the choices. But I don't want to miss an NXT takeover. As much as I want to see a WrestleMania, I don't want to miss out on a takeover. So I'm going to be clever with my answer here. I'm going to say NXT because I want to see an NXT takeover. I'm going to pick Raw because currently Raw has the superstars that I'm most interested in watching. Ricochet, Kevin Owens, those sort of guys. Randy Orton, Seth Rollins, arguably. The Fiend is currently still being booked on Raw, so even though he's a SmackDown guy. So, those are the talents I'm interested in. AOP as well. That roster for me does sort of have my attention. Aleister Black, Andrade. So Raw will be my choice. NXT will be my other. And maybe I can just cheat and see a little bit of SmackDown when it comes to the pay-per-views. Last question comes from Pro Wrestling Talk. Actually, it's not the last question. We've got a couple still to go. He asks, what was the first pay-per-view you watched? Fun question. I really like this question. It's a personal question. So thank you for asking this one, Pro Wrestling Talk. For me, I started in 1992, which is makes me seem a bit old, doesn't it? But WrestleMania 8 was the first pay-per-view I watched. And I remember there was an advert on Sky Movies at the time, Mr. Perfect come up on the screen, and there was a Hulk Hogan movie, which the name escapes me right now, but it was him and Zeus. It was premiering before WrestleMania, and they said, you have to watch WrestleMania 8, biggest show. Hulk Hogan's going to be on it afterwards, and we watched this movie, and I went, hey, he's going to be on that next show, and I said to my parents at the time, I want to watch that, and they said, yeah, go ahead, not a problem, and I watched it, and hooked ever since. So yeah, WrestleMania 8 was the place to be, and we had the opening match, which was Shawn Michaels and Tito Santana, which I think for anyone's book knows the history of wrestling, you can't go wrong with that as an opener for a WrestleMania. Undertaker, Jake Roberts give you that sports entertainment, that character element for the second match. By the fourth match, you had Ric Flair, Macho Man Randy Savage. What more is there to tell? You know what I mean? In the middle of that as well, match 3, the Intercontinental Championship, Roddy Piper and Bret Hart. Bret Hart becoming one of my early favourites as well. So, for me, WrestleMania 8 just ticked all the boxes from that starting point. First event I ever watched, and from there, I was hooked. Last question then comes from Aussie Lucian Blogs and Podcasts, and this is a real fun question, so I thought I had to include it. Who wore it better, Dakota Kai or Bayley? Well, to give you a quick answer on that question, for me, Dakota Kai all day long. I'm Team Kick, if I'm brutally honest. I'm not a fan of the Bayley haircut, if I'm brutally honest, but I will turn this now into a bit more of a serious answer and talk about Bayley's heel turn. I feel I understand why WWE done it. She appealed to a younger audience with how her look was before. The haircut clearly is to make her seem older, less appealing to the younger audience. The slashing of the Bayley bunnies, the heel turn in general, I've really been a fan of it so far. I've loved the idea of what Bayley has done. It's something we've been crying for a long time. I said on an old podcast with my friend James the night after SummerSlam, she was booed out of the building. Worst match with her and Ember Moon. I said I wanted her to come out that episode of SmackDown and come and say, screw you, you can all kiss my ass. And, when she won the belt there, she technically did that. And, a couple of months later than perhaps what I wanted, maybe in a couple of years, if you really look over Bayley's career on the main roster in WWE. But, it's going in a good direction, Bayley's heel turn so far. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it's going to turn out. And my only thing that I've got to draw back is I'm not sure of the rest of the roster on SmackDown Live at the moment with the women's division. It makes you feel like maybe Sasha may turn face in a couple of months, but maybe that'll be the destination. Maybe they can get the story that they really wanted all along, because those two, they wanted a WrestleMania match, they wanted a rivalry. At the moment, looking at the roster for SmackDown, I can see it as the only logical match they could have for WrestleMania for the SmackDown Women's Championship. But that's all for this particular video. Hope you've enjoyed it here on AskSCW. Remember, you can get involved and drop a question in the comment section here. You can follow me on Twitter as well, SCW Wrestling Channel at SCW_Steve. Get involved on Instagram and Facebook as well. You can follow and like those pages also. SCW The Wrestling Channel, by the way, for Instagram and Facebook. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching as always. I'll see you next time here on YouTube.com. Take care. Thank you for watching.